Caddis Maximus here, this time with a quick review of a older Williams Vulcan Superior 4-inch chain pipe wrench. Chain wrenches aren't as common as standard plumber's wrenches or pipe wrenches, but they certainly are very effective. This Williams was one of the nicer ones and one of the larger ones made. There are even bigger ones than this. And these really did work beautifully, but one of the issues was that they were immensely heavy. This wrench is a 36-inch wrench. It will go from 3/4 inch to 4 inches and is a friction binding type. One nice thing about this Williams is it does have rotatable head, so as one gets worn out here, you can actually remove these blocks, rotate them 180 degrees, and you have entirely new gripping surfaces. And I thought that was pretty intelligent. This is all drop forged steel, the jaws and the handle, and of course high strength steel chain. One of the issues, particularly about the weight, is this wrench weighs about 22 pounds. It is not lightweight by any means, and really it looks like some type of medieval maul of some type, because versus so many other types of chain wrenches, this just has such an aggressive type of tooth, or serrations in it, I should say. Another interesting thing I was going to point out is it does have this concave portion. I'm not exactly sure if that's just to help with centering or to help with turn wheels. That's one thing I've never really found out, is what the purpose of this little groove here, because usually when you're turning pipes it just grabs onto the surface. The nice thing about these wrenches is they'll turn many types of round objects. I've used this actually to twist fence posts to get them loose and then be able to pull them out of the ground, and it's really nice because of the way the chain binds up. You don't have to be perfectly on it. You can be right in the corner of a square and it will just get the job done. And how it works is it just has a nice large chain, and it would wrap around, and you would just wrap it around whatever size pipe that you had. Let me bring this out as an example. This wrench is ridiculously heavy. You do have to kind of be careful when you're moving it around, because the chain really likes to whip around, and if you're carrying it next to you, you'll forget, and the chain will whip around, and just the chain on this thing weighs about 3 to 5 pounds, and then if this thing whips and hits you in the knee, you really notice it. You really do notice it. So you just take the chain, you take whatever you're trying to turn, and you just wrap the chain around it, like so. It locks into a little space there, and then you would actually pull the wrench this way. As you're pulling the wrench, what's happening is it's driving the teeth into the surface of whatever you're trying to rotate. That forward leverage causes the teeth to want to bite in some, and then it's actually cantilevering off the back of the chain. So you're actually pivoting off of this pivot, rotating the head in, and so as the pipe, if it's a stubborn pipe, does not want to turn, you just continue to put more and more pressure. The teeth bite in so aggressively, as well as just the friction of the chain, that really the wrench does not slip unless it's a really hard or very smooth surface. And the nice thing about these is you'll just be able to continue to put force on until either the chain breaks or whatever you're rotating breaks loose. One thing that can happen with these is if you're working with real thin wall material or real brittle, really old, say, cast iron pipes, there are times when you're using this, and just due to the corrosion or something on the pipe, as you attempt to rotate, all this forward pressure here going against the wall of the pipe can cause the wall to collapse. And I've actually had that happen to me once. And that's one advantage of a standard pipe wrench, is it doesn't put quite as much pressure on, and they're a little more convenient to use. Now this is ratcheting, i.e. you'll turn it, get some rotation, and then when you bring it back, it releases pressure, and you'll be able to rotate it on the pipe, and then you'll just move it down again and be able to ratchet it out. That is another distinct advantage, is it's infinite in that capacity, like a standard pipe wrench, where once you break it loose, you don't have to get another wrench. You'll just be able to ratchet it out until it's loose enough to turn by hand. And obviously, due to the nature of this tool, and particularly this Williams, if any zombies come up on you while you're working, you'll be able to dispatch with them quite effectively and quite conveniently, although you would probably need to be a bodybuilder to really swing this. And of course, that's what always attracted me to this. And let's even zoom in a bit. so we can really get a close look at the logo here. If this thing only wasn't so heavy. Jeez. There we go. So there's the Williams, drop forged with the little Williams diamond. They actually label left and right for each of the anvils, which I thought was also convenient. And then there it is, a number 3/4 inch to 4 inch Vulcan Superior. And they did have a patent pending on the time that they made this, and I can see why. It was a really nice, very heavy-duty design, but probably a little too heavy-duty, because I'm sure today a wrench like this would probably be $200 to $300. Just due to the raw amount of steel that's used and the die forge, a handle this large, and cutting teeth like this, especially all the machining, it wouldn't be a cheap tool. And it just seems the large 48-inch or 4-foot handle 4-inch pipe wrench is really what's taken over for the large capacities. Although there's definitely a place for chain wrenches, in addition to some of their distinct advantages of being able to get a really high amount of grip force. On a standard pipe wrench, the upper jaw rocks, and that's how it kind of clamps, but it's only able to rock and move so far, so they do slip. The nice thing about this is as you rock it, because of this deep curve, it'll just continue to bite in harder and harder and harder. The other advantage is this chain obviously can loop through any space where there's like 3/4 or less than an inch width. You can feed this chain through and be able to get access to the pipe. Say fire sprinkler risers, you're disassembling one or assembling one. There's oftentimes many large diameter pipes and fittings that are all really close together, and then the really tall, thick jaws of a standard pipe wrench just won't physically fit, and then this really comes into its own because all you need is one area for the head to get access to, and then just a small chain to wrap around the rest. Anyway, I just thought this was a really amazing chain pipe wrench, and large and heavy, and I really like big and heavy outsized tools because they're always fun to talk about. Always fun just to toss this to somebody across the shop and watch it land on their feet. Actually, I don't do that, but people are always surprised when they see this wrench and then they pick it up and they're just like, wow, it's hugely heavy. This could be used as a bodybuilding lifting weight, and I'm sure if you use something like this on a daily basis, you would have some very strong arms. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching. Please subscribe. Catus Maximus out.